got something on your mind, do you? Not particularly. I suppose you're going to nag me until I cough it up, aren't you? Nothing is private anymore, it looks like. There's no escaping it, I guess. So be it. My wife's name was Neyama. She was the Yukatis enforcer who shot me out of the sky, if you remember. My wife had plenty to do with the war. Upon meeting her, I knew right away that she was strong in the Force. That's why she was able to shoot me down. Neyama was a marvel of a woman. Fiery, determined, smart. She dragged me to the capital and foiled 3 of my attempts to escape prison. Oh, and that body. Well, yes, that. Needless to say, I eventually won her over. That was after I kidnapped her upon being broken out of the Yukatis prison, mind you. But, that's another story entirely. At any rate, I wanted to train her in the Jedi way. The Council refused my request, naturally. I was still a Padawan at the time. I was an experienced Padawan, surely, but not yet ready to be a full Jedi, and certainly not ready to train another, especially not one so old as my wife. I did. I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. The problem with self-righteous folk is they think they're more right than everyone else. I believed in her and trained her in secret. I ignored her willful nature. I loved her too much to see fault in her. And she loved me too. I know she did. At the time, our love was a shared bliss. Better than anything I had known before or since. Exar Kun is what happened. Neyama was inspired by Exar's promises of a new golden age. She wanted to join him. She came to me, pleading with me to throw aside what she called the decrepit trappings of the Jedi, to join her in Exar's war. I hadn't thought so, not right then. I was too proud to believe that of her. I had trained her myself. I loved her. I pleaded with her to reconsider, to think about all that she was throwing away, to think about what she would become. She would have none of it. Finally, in frustration, she attacked me. She drew her lightsaber and attempted to strike me down. It was a scene being repeated everywhere throughout the galaxy. Pupil against master. In my case, it was a long and terrible battle, but I defeated her. No, I had her at my mercy, disarmed and defenseless. She looked up at me and she knew I couldn't do it. But I should have. Sometimes I convince myself otherwise, but it's no use. She had fallen to the dark side when she raised her saber against me, and I let her go. To my shame, she went on to kill many Jedi during the war, until she herself was slain in the final battle. I grieved for her death, inevitable as it was, even as the Jedi Council put me on trial for my actions once the war was over. I had trained Neyama against their wishes. I had failed to kill her when I had the chance, and she went on to kill others. Not to mention that I had remained a Padawan throughout the war. For formality, perhaps, but with the trial, it had to be decided if I was worthy to become a Jedi at all. It was a travesty, of course. I told you that even the Jedi were capable of great injustices, didn't I? But I deserve to be tried. They found me innocent. Even though I deserved every punishment and more, they let me go. Mitigating circumstances, they said. I deserved compassion, they said. They said I had learned wisdom the hard way. For all I had done during the war, they wished to raise me to full Jedi status at long last. That was when the Jedi left me. That was when they failed me. For my pride? For my cowardice? Which do you think is the act more befitting a Jedi? They may have been able to forgive me. I could never forgive myself. Yes, I do, I suppose. Does that surprise you? It is all so long ago, lost in the winds, I suppose. Nobody cares what an old man believes anymore, do they? Let's continue on with the task at hand. I would prefer to think of the present today. Got something on your mind, do you? Oh, that was not until many years later, to tell the truth. I spent quite some time wandering the galaxy. Why wouldn't they? I had refused my promotion to Jedi. I was a Padawan who had left the Order, nothing more. I traveled from one civilized system to the next, never staying long. I don't even think I knew what I was searching for. It wasn't as if my travels were pleasant either. There were plenty of folks who distrusted the Jedi after the war, or worse. If people weren't treating me with suspicion, they were looking at me with greed. I don't know how many thought they could make use of me for their own ends. I got so sick of the treachery and deceit. I left the civilized parts of the galaxy and headed instead for the uncivilized parts. Actually, I was on my way somewhere else when I crash-landed on Kashyyyk. The ship I was using was a rust bucket. I'd taken some damage passing through an unexpected asteroid field, as I recall, but I wasn't completely without some systems. I could still guide her a bit when I crashed. It wasn't what I would call the smoothest landing, especially considering I ended up smack in the depths of the Shadowlands. But I lived. I'm no mechanic, and besides, after you plunge nose first in the trunk of a 5-kilometer-high tree, chances are you don't have much ship left. Sure, why not? It seemed like an interesting enough place to spend a couple of decades exploring. That was a challenge at first. You've seen the kind of creatures that exist down there, and you missed the really big ones. I was still able to rely on the Force to keep me safe for the most part. The rest of the trick is keeping out of the way of most of the predators. No, that's true. Still, most of the creatures grew accustomed to me, and I to them. At least none of them ever heard of a Jedi. Oh, they did at first, oh yes. I can't say I was overly pleased to encounter a group of indigenous giant carpets either, I can assure you of that. No. I was the intruder in their land, after all. They got to trust me well enough after a couple of decades of my aid. When I could, I would assist a few young ones who would get lost in the Shadowlands or attacked unexpectedly by the wildlife. I must say, for a while there, the Wookiees actually thought I was some kind of benevolent forest god. Amusing, really. I set them straight eventually. At first, when the slavers took to hunting down lone Wookiees in the fringes of the Shadowlands, I did my best to divert them. Later, when Shundar made his deal, I didn't see any point. I wasn't here to save them from their own sad follies, after all. Nonsense. I had no idea that's what they were thinking for a long time. I just thought they were being friendly neighbors, leaving fruit and such for me. Later, when I started to understand some of their grunting, I realized they would say prayers to the Hairless One before descending into the forest. Hairless One. I used to have plenty of hair, I tell you. At any rate, it took a few bruises, but I set the record straight. I traveled to Rookwaro and met with the chieftain in front of everyone. Freyr swatted at me just to see if I was real or not. I was real, and while it was a light swat, Wookiees are terribly strong. I was knocked out cold for a day. The Wookiees all thought it was quite funny. Not really. Kashyyyk is a place you can feel very small in. It felt good to devote my time to helping people and living simply. What can I say? I did it all for the Wookiees. The Wookiees? Well, okay, maybe I needed some time on a quiet and remote planet, but if you ever need a friend, an incredibly strong hairball isn't a bad call. I suppose I am in a way, despite the smell. For a race of gardeners, they've developed quite interestingly. You remember the alien computer, correct? Kashyyyk was meant to be an agricultural planet. The Wookiees were made for a reason, or at least that's what I'm thinking. But I'm an old man who's had a long time to develop that opinion, so don't argue with me. At any rate, we should be moving along, don't you think? If you sat around this long in the Shadowlands, attack would eat you. Got something on your mind, do you? Are we back to that again? What's the best way for me to approach this? Perhaps it's time for a little story. You just keep quiet there, you. I've had to put up with all your busybody questions, haven't I? Well, now you listen to a story, damn it! Now, where was I? Oh, yes, the story. You almost made me forget about it. Nice try, but I'm not that old just yet. Now then, a young man sees a terribly venomous snake in his small village. Nervous, he watches the snake carefully until it leaves. The young man follows the snake into the forest. He clears the branches out of its path and helps it over obstacles. He even works to keep it fed. Shush! Many nights pass, and still the young man continues to follow the snake. He even follows it into the sands of the great desert. In the desert, the snake eventually grows hungry. It turns and bites the young man, its poison quickly working its way into his system. Finally, curious, the snake looks at the boy as he lays dying and asks, "Why were you foolish enough to follow me all the way out into the desert?" The boy looks back and replies, "Did I follow you? I thought I was leading you away from everyone else." And then he died. Well, now, that's what I wanted to see for myself. The real question is whether or not I'm as frightened as I should be, isn't it? I've told you before that you have a destiny before you. This does not mean, however, that your future is already written. They are not the same thing. You have the choice of which direction you take your destiny in. More than engine-sucking Andor, certainly. But even he had a choice. So far, you've chosen to take the lighter path. Can you stay that course, even through the challenges ahead? We'll have to wait and see. I'm not here to judge you or tell you which path to take. I'm here ready to offer you my help, should you ask for it. I do that because I think it's important. More important than remaining in my home and pretending the galaxy doesn't exist. That's why I'm here. I'm rather glad I came too, really. You're a fine young lad. I hope things turn out well for you. Now then, I've chatted enough for one lifetime. Let's get this show on the road, shall we?
Yeah, what do you want? Hey, don't worry. I think you've got enough there as it is. You don't want to overload yourself on stims. Otherwise, you might destroy your adrenal system. A real warrior knows his own limits and doesn't overestimate himself. There anything else you need? Your choice. I'm here if you want something done right.